All right, and that was special thanks to Jacob Baldwin for taking time out of his day to help with the preview of the show. And now we're going to move into the second half, where we're going to do our rundown as we always do of Week 4, and then do our Week 5 predictions. It'll be a little bit quicker this episode just because of the interview, of course. Then I'll start, I guess. Or are you starting with the first game?
Yeah, you can start. But yeah, thanks, Jake. Busy guy, and he gave us about 2 hours of time. So thanks to Jake. Yeah, and I hope you guys both have fun tomorrow at the Cardinal game, man. That's gonna be so epic.
Yeah, the only thing I wish it was a night game, but that would make it a little bit more cooler, sure. Like a playoff feel. But it's still going to be rocking. Like I was talking to my boss at work, and he said he went but the last time they had a playoff game at home, I think it was the Braves, maybe in 2019. And he said, he's like, you know that feeling like during a regular season game when someone hits a home run and the entire stadium like goes wild. He's like, it's like that, but the entire game. And I'm like, oh, I cannot wait. That's going to be so fun. So this is something for me. I've never been to a playoff game, and neither has Jake. So this is something that we've always wanted to do. Yeah.
I've been, I think, 2 or 3 times. But
to a playoff game?
Yeah, I think I remember I went and they lost to the Nationals in the playoffs. It's been a while, but I can't even remember when that was, when we played the Nationals in the playoffs. But yeah.
Yeah, the only regret I have is that we way overpaid for tickets because we paid $90 to sit in the very top row.
Yeah, he told me about that. And the $14
but I'm looking
seats.
Now. Yeah, I'm looking now, and you can get better seats, like a whole section down below, $14. So hey, if you want to go to the game tomorrow and you don't care where you sit, check out Game Time, because this is a free ad for Game Time, because there's like $15 tickets on there if you want. So me and Jake are talking about going to an NLDS game if we make it that far against the Braves. So we would definitely get last minute tickets there if we go that route. That would be fun too. But anyway, it's time for football. Football talk for Week 4, and we start off in Cincinnati, where the Bengals took on the Dolphins and Tua. After Tua exited with an extreme injury, death, the Bengals put the game on cruise control and cruise into next week's Sunday Night Football against the Ravens with a 27-15 win on Amazon.
All right, let's head across the pond to London, England, where the first game under King Charles's rule took place. Speaking of King Charles, let's talk about Cousins. Except this time they are alive, as Kirk threw for 273 yards and led the Vikings to a victory with a little help from the goalposts for blocking the game-tying kick twice to allow the Vikes to hold on 28-25. Double doink as the Vikings are 3-1.
Next, we head to the South, where the Houston Texans took on the badly injured Chargers, but to the surprise of no one, the Texans are just complete ass cheeks, as the Keenan Allen-less, Rashawn Slater-less, Joey Bosa-less, Justin Herbert rib-less Chargers win 27-17.
Yeah, we dropped the ball on that one. Up in the city of brotherly love, the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles took on the up-and-coming Jaguars in the return to Philly for Doug Peterson. A warm welcome he received. The Eagles were given a scare as the Jags got out to an early 14-0 lead thanks to Jamal Agnew and company, but then fingers once again hurt the Jaguars as Trevor Lawrence couldn't hold on to the ball, losing 4 fumbles in the very rainy game, and the Eagles remain the only undefeated team, 29-21.
Down the Jerry World we head, where the Cowboys took on the Commanders, and that's exactly what the Cowboys did to Carson Wentz, as yet another sad day for Washington happens. Cooper Rush is in a hurry to become the starter as he moves to 4-0 as a starter in his career, putting Dak on the hot seat. Cowboys win 25-10.
Up to Baltimore. In the middle of a hurricane we had where the Bills opened a hurricane on the Ravens in the second half, flooding their defense with 20 unanswered points. Passing games were down as the wind and rain prevailed, and the Ravens' rushing attack couldn't get it done, especially in the second half, as the Bills win on a walk-off field goal and are no longer 0-7 in one-score games. 1-7 as the Bills win 23-20.
And up to Schittsburg we head as the Steelers are officially dead. Zach Wilson dug them a grave when the Jets pulled out the Philly special that led to a Zach Wilson gritty on all the moms in Pittsburgh. Mitch got benched, and Kenny Pickett completed all of his passes. Unfortunately, 3 of those passes were to the Jets' defense. Jets put the Steelers to rest, 24-20.
The city of Detroit is where the Seahawks went to take on the Lions in an all-time Big 12 shootout that led to the first scoregami of the 2022-2023 season. TJ Hawkinson had a Kelsey-like performance in this one, going for 179 yards and 2 touchdowns, and DK Metcalf took a shit on the Lions, going for 150 yards as the Seahawks get back to 500 football with a 48-45 win over the Lions.
DK Metcalf quite literally took a shit on the Lions, too. To the city of champions as the Falcons take on the Browns in a battle of the sad franchises. Aubrey Marcus Mariota was a non-factor, only completing 7 of 19 passes, but it didn't matter as the Falcons drove the running game right down the Browns' throats. And somehow that wasn't the worst drive of the week for that defensive line. Falcons 23, Browns 20.
We had the Lucas Oil Stadium where the roof was wide open, but had no effect on this game as Derrick Henry put his legs to work in this one early on, and the Colts were never able to keep up. The Colts offensive line continues on their mission to get Matt Ryan absolutely killed, and Jonathan Taylor is also not looking good to start the season, allowing 3 sacks and a 2.1 rushing average for Jonathan Taylor. Titans prevail in this one, 24-17.
We head to the Big Apple, where the 2 worst 2-1 teams in history battled each other. This game could have taken place in the 1960s as it was dominated by defense and the run game, as the QBs threw for less than 250 yards combined. The Giants take this one on a sad note, 20-12, and move to 3-1? Wow.
Huh? In Carolina, the Cardinals take on the Panthers, and the somehow not yet fired Matt Rule, despite a double XP weekend for Kyler, he went for 3 total touchdowns with only 1 interception. Hollywood Brown breaks out for a big game in this one, and the Cardinals defense steps up to send Baker and the Panthers offense off the field with boos towards the end of the game. For the first time in franchise history, the Cardinals beat the Panthers 26-16.
Up to Green Bay we head, where the Bailey Zappi led Patriots did not go home happy. Or did they, as Bailey Zappi showed signs of a young Tom Brady, stepping up for an injured Brian Hoyer and taking the Packers to overtime. Romeo and Juliet Dobbs stepped up with a big-time touchdown, and Mason Crossbar absolutely drilled a game-winning field goal in overtime to send the Packers to a 27-24 victory over the Pats.
And that's our rundown.
Well,
interesting week
games,
for. Yeah, we did, but it happens. Okay. And we're actually going to be heading to overtime here in this one as Colts Broncos battle the horses, the Horse Bowl on Thursday Night Football. And you might be thinking to yourself, the Broncos are on primetime again? Yeah, 3 out of the 5 weeks so far they've been on primetime. So,
and they're on primetime next
9
week
to
against
9.
the Chargers.
Yeah, they are. 9-9, and this game has gone exactly how you thought it would. Some really bad Russell Wilson throws, no touchdowns. Luke had an interesting stat for us before we got back on the recording, I think. Or did you say that in the interview? I can't remember.
No, it wasn't in the interview. But
Stat.
they showed a stat on the broadcast, and it said it was the first time, or no game has ever gone touchdownless when both the quarterbacks have 4 or more Pro Bowl appearances. So this is, I mean, unless somebody scores a touchdown in overtime, it's the first game ever where that would happen.
Which is a weird stat, but a stat that makes a lot of sense. But Matt Ryan looks like a shell of himself, especially with this offensive line. And oh my gosh, the Broncos offense is just not an offense right now.
Dead.
So
they're dead.
Yeah, much like
and Garrett Bowles just got carted off the field.
Yeah, which is very sad after last week's. He tried to make that miracle tackle, and it was just a laughingstock of the NFL last weekend. But can't blame a man for trying. But yeah, he got carted off, one of their best offensive linemen. So yeah, just not great for the Broncos and their fans right now. But yeah, interesting week coming up. Interesting week in review.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I think we should just start with your game. Honestly, I want to spotlight. We both both of our teams played in games where some new quarterback faces came out and showed. So I think we should start in Green Bay, actually, because that may have been the most interesting one. Where, everybody thought, that the Packers would win, but you also, in the back of your mind, you're like, I am not ruling out the fact that Bill Belichick is going to make this a close game somehow. And he obviously did, even though I think maybe his play calling at the end of the game may have cost them. But nonetheless, Bailey Zappi came in for an injured Brian Hoyer, and he wasn't ass, if you will, and actually, played them back into this game.
I mean, for a 5th-round draft pick coming in, literally in like the middle of a game to make his debut, he played really good for that, given the circumstances. And, watching him at Western Kentucky, he was an electric player. So I think, in New England, all you got to do is be really good, and you will win multiple Super Bowls. And that's what Tom Brady did. And, now he's considered the greatest of all time. And my only gripe about this game is that people are calling Zappi the next Tom Brady. They're like, oh my gosh, the circumstances are almost identical, which is true. He comes in for an injured quarterback in the middle of a game and plays good. However, here's my gripe. No one will ever be like Tom Brady ever again. I'm sorry. We'll never see anything like it again. Bailey Zappi, could he be a future Hall of Famer? Sure. Could he win multiple Super Bowls? Sure. But will he be Tom Brady? No. And then, of course, Aaron Rodgers played well, too. That's my other thing.
Yeah, he did. My thoughts on Zappi is, for a rookie, he played solid, and I think they actually tried to limit him, honestly. Like, they didn't want him to feel overwhelmed, and Belichick made a big point to do that, of not making him overwhelmed. Like I said, they limited kind of the playbook, it seemed like, at the end of the game. Yeah, where they just went straight runs and didn't really give Zappi a chance, which, is, it could either play out two ways. The fact that maybe he thought that Belichick didn't trust him, and, that's kind of a demoralizing for a quarterback, or, just the fact that he didn't make like a heartbreaking mistake, and Belichick kind of saved him from that, and, you don't have that loss of confidence. But I'm not going to jump on the wagon of he's the next Tom Brady. I mean, he hasn't really shown that kind of play. I kind of hope he turns out, because like you were talking about at Western Kentucky, I didn't really get to watch him at Western Kentucky until the end of the year. I would flip on to their games to see if he was going to break the passing touchdown record. because he had like 61 or 62 passing touchdowns and 5,900 passing yards last year in an air raid attack with the Hilltoppers. So he was really good in college for 1 year. He played JUCO, I think, the rest of his way through because I don't remember him being anywhere else besides Western Kentucky for 1 year. Could be wrong on that, but yeah, I mean, it was cool to just see him. It's cool to. As a football guy, it's just fun to see rookie quarterbacks playing. So it was nice to see. And then, yeah,
that could lead us into another note. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of games I feel like we need to spend time on this week. It was kind of a mid-week, but one game that jumps out is the Bills and Ravens. But before we get to that, because we're talking about rookie quarterbacks, we got to go to the Jets and Steelers. And, obviously Kenny Pickett makes his debut in this one. And he played solid. I mean, he made some weird decisions, but they were also losing most of the game. And, Zach Wilson, he had a great debut, or a great 2022 debut, to say the least. And the Jets actually look like a competent team with him.
Which is wild. But yeah, like Luke said, Kenny.
You just muted yourself, by the way.
Oh, shit. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. It's not that Kenny played great. It's more that he provided a spark for the offense. And I know that's a very cliche thing to say, but as someone who watched the game, it was real. And, Mitch could have very easily done the thing that maybe provided the spark for the Steelers, but just the fact that Kenny came in and QB sneaked for a touchdown and then had another rushing touchdown, given a short field with Minka, interception. That was almost a pick six again. But, yeah, Luke said he completed all of his passes. It just so happened that 3 of them were into the Jets' defensive hands. And 2 of them I don't exactly fault him for. One of them, was his fault. But the throw up to Chase Claypool didn't even really make an attempt to make a play on the ball, which maybe maybe he just wasn't expecting it. I have no idea, but he didn't even make. Sometimes, I played receiver when I was younger, and sometimes you also just have to become the defensive back yourself if you know you can't make a play and bat the ball down, and he didn't even really make an attempt to do that. So that was pick 1 on the deep ball to Chase Claypool, which I don't really fault him for. That could happen to just about any quarterback. The second one was his fault. And then the third one, it was just a Hail Mary attempt at the end of the game. So, but all interceptions count the same in the stat book. So, but to the naked eye, obviously that one doesn't really hurt him as much. But yeah, the ball didn't touch the turf. And he was hitting guys, you won't believe it, over the middle of the field. So something that Mitch literally did not do whatsoever. And it was just different when Kenny was playing. And that's why Mike Tomlin announced that he's going to be the starter going forward right now. And I don't blame him. And, if things go awry, it also wouldn't shock me if they turn back to Mitch randomly throughout the season. I hope they don't. I hope they just kind of let Kenny develop and keep going. But I have no idea. So,
yep,
I'm not mad. I think I've talked about this before. I think this is the worst Steelers team since I've been a fan. And I think this is going to be the first year that Mike Tomlin doesn't go 500, at least. So, which is also weird. I've never experienced that either. So,
I think you're right on that, by the way.
It's a weird year for Steelers fans.
They just look really, really bad. In this game right now, the Broncos and Colts has major tie energy. So I just want to say, whenever this podcast comes out, if it ends up in a tie, I called it. I'm calling a tie. A 12-12 tie. They both get a field goal.
Yeah, we need a McManus field goal.
Oh, the Colts scored? I guess the kicker's coming out now. And then some other games. The rest we can kind of skip over because we're running short on time due to the interview, but we got to talk about the Bills and Ravens. That was an
I
incredible.
can,
We in the prediction we said it was going to be close, and we were torn on who to pick. And I mean, the Ravens dominated the first half, but the Bills dominated the second half. So it was really a evenly matched game, and this had a playoff like atmosphere, and it was a really really good game between two really good teams and good offenses, and yeah, it was just fun. And this game could have major, like, if we look back at the end of the year and these two teams have the same record, like they're tied, this game's going to loom large in the seeding, potentially maybe for a first round bye or something. But
yeah, personally, I don't think that's going to happen for one reason, and that's because it seems like the Ravens can't hold on to leads. This is the second time that's happened. I saw a stat. The Ravens have been leading for all of 14 seconds in this football season, and they're 2-2. So both of their losses coming at the end of games. And but I think we mentioned this. I think I mentioned this in the rundown. The Bills are finally no longer 0-7 in one-score games. They finally get one in the win column, and it's good for Josh Allen to finally get a win in a one-score game. I mean, you got to be able to do that come the playoffs, and it's good to
you got to
get
be able
that
to win
first
the
one
grind.
under your belt. Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to grind one out, and they haven't been able to do that. They've been able to be in a position to do it, but not finish the game. So that's big for the Bills organization as a whole. And for the Ravens, man, I mean, like we've talked about, they've been in the position to win every single game thus far, and they just can't hold on. So they've got to figure that out. They're obviously one of the better teams in football, and they're probably going to win the AFC North. I think that's who we predicted to win the AFC North at the beginning of the year. But, yeah, I mean, because the Bengals, they look like they're coming back to competency, and the Browns might lose a few too many games without Deshaun Watson and company. And then they're probably going to lose a couple of games when Deshaun Watson comes back anyway, just because. So it's probably the Ravens to lose, but they have been losing. They're 2-2, and they've got some things to shore up. So
Exactly. That game, we're going to predict it in a little bit, but that next week's game is going to be a big one. That's all that I want to recap. Is there any game that you're like dying to recap from last week? Or have any quick
one
notes
game
about
I
or
would like
something?
to just one game I'd like to touch on is just the fact that the Seahawks-Lions game, the Lions offense is very good.
And
And
their defense is very bad.
Jared Goff looks like he has improved since he's come to Detroit. Meaning that, I don't remember him. I mean, there was a couple games where he showed that he was a first-round talent. The big one being that Monday Night Football game against the Chiefs in L.A. in the packed Coliseum, one of my favorite football games I've ever watched. But he seems like he's improved since he's gotten to Detroit, and yet the Lions are averaging the most points on offense, and they're also averaging the most points given up on defense, and that's why they're 1-3. And Dan Campbell, man, he preaches this every year. The little things. They're not doing some of the little things, and that's why they're 1-3. But the thing is, man, is the Lions are far from being a team that you can just look at on the schedule and chalk it up as a win. Those days seem to be over.
Yep.
So that's a step in the right direction for them, at least.
And it's really just. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, they did this without Amon-Ra. They did this without Swift. And so, when DeAndre. And so, they did this without their two best offensive players. And, and they still scored 45. But at some point, your defense has got to step up, and they haven't been able to do so yet. So if they figure that out, then who knows? But right now, I mean, the offense is good, and the defense is really bad. So, and Geno Smith,
it's weird.
Works
it
good.
really is just weird to see the Lions have that bad of a defense when they got guys like Hutchinson. They got guys like Okuda, who's actually playing really well. Just kind of shoring up those main positions. But they are developing, and the rest of the guys on the team aren't exactly like studs. So it does make sense. And I mean, in the recap, we didn't recap a few games. So the Chiefs won 41-31 on Sunday Night Football. That was a fun game. And then the 49ers once again beat the Rams 24-9. But we'll probably talk more about some of those teams in the predictions. So
Yeah.
you want to get into so this game? I didn't have a prediction. Oh, sorry.
I just have one last note besides that game, and this is the last one. Just that the Lunder didn't hit in the Vikings Saints game, and that was actually a really good game. And usually the London games are complete shit. And they have another good game, it looks like, coming their way this week. And between your Packers and is it the Giants?
Mm-hmm.
Who 3-1. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Giants.
So, yeah, and Kirk actually got a nice win and another fourth quarter comeback, 2 in a row for him. So, just wanted to point that out. Not bad for the Vikings.
Yeah, that was a good game. So, last week we went, was it 10-6? We had our first ever winning week in Show Me Show Predictions history. So, I mean, we got 10-6. That's playoff. They used to say you get 10 wins, you're in the playoffs. So that's a playoff record. We're slowly working our way back. Yeah, or the Dolphins. So we're slowly working our way back to 500 on the season. We need another 10-6 week this week. But we started off right now. Our prediction is not looking good. I didn't really have a prediction because I forgot to say it, but Cam said he picked the Broncos. And I probably would have before the game. I'm just going off my guess because they're at home. And that's literally the only reason why, because both these teams are really underperforming this year. So I would have went with them just because they're at home. Right now, they're struggling to even manage a tie.
Going for it. They're going for it on 4th down and 1. Oh, he's wide open in the end zone.
Timeout on mine.
What the fuck?
They drop it? They get it?
Not even close to the receiver. Bad throw. The Jerry Jeudy, I think it was wide open on the slant. And the Broncos are going to fall to 2-3. Here's the replay. Sutton on the left side. He's locked up. There's the wide open man in the back of the end zone of the zone window, and he completely missed him. And he just tried to force it to Sutton.
Oh, they're right on the goal line?
Yeah, 4th down and 1.
I honestly would have kicked the field goal if I was the Broncos.
Okay, it was KJ Hamler wide open in the end zone, in the zone window, and Russell Wilson missed him. So,
what do you know? Russell Wilson throwing a bad pass on the goal line. What's new?
So, I guess Show Me Show is 0-1 this week.
So we are. Yeah.
Fuck. So KJ Hamler is so open. Oh, that's got to hurt for Broncos fans. And Russell Wilson. I mean, he sucks. Oh, man. KJ Hamler is like throwing a fit.
Oh, my goodness.
He is like throwing his helmet.
He was wide open. He just didn't see him.
Yeah, he just missed him. And then, I mean, eventually he was covered up, but he was wide open at the beginning in the zone window. So,
yep. You know what? I don't mind that call, though, going for it. The flow of the game says to kick the field goal there because you're not going to score a touchdown just based off the flow of the game. But I like, the aggressiveness. So, but hey, 0-1. Last week we started off 1-0. So, I mean, this is not a good start. I guess we'll move to the London game now. Packers Giants. I think the pick is just the Packers. They're better.
Yeah, that's good. I'm fine with that one for sure.
All right, and then we'll move to the next one just on my screen on Google. Lions and Patriots. This is an interesting game because the Patriots have a terrible offense but a good defense, and the Lions have a good offense but a terrible defense. So very like hit or miss on this one. This one's going to be – and watch out for a Bailey Zappi breakout game in this one too with the Lions' really bad defense. I'm going I'm going Patriots just because they're at home. And I don't think the Patriots will start off 1-4 with Belichick. It just doesn't seem like something he would do.
Yeah, this is whoever loses will be though. I'm not gonna disagree. I like home Belichick.
Okay. I think technically you're supposed to make the picks this week, but we can just agree.
No, I think I picked
Chargers,
them last
Browns.
week.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That might be true. I forget.
Chargers.
Okay. So yeah, it is my week then.
Yeah, it is. But Chargers are the most confusing team. I'm so confused.
So are the Browns this year.
Yeah.
I mean, the Browns lost to the Jets and Falcons. And who did they beat?
The Steelers and shit. Do they not have a good win? Steelers and who else did they beat?
They beat the
won week
Steelers and
one.
the Panthers.
Yeah, they beat the Panthers.
So this is
now
like
they don't really
best
have a good
opponent yet.
win. Yeah, they don't really have a good win yet.
Yeah, I'll go with the Chargers. No. Browns because they're at home.
Is it in Cleveland?
Yes, it's
I'll go Cleveland if it's in Cleveland.
Yeah, me too. I
That's
changed
a
it last
toss.
second. I think the Chargers, they're hit or miss. I think they're going to lose this one. All right, and then we got the Jags and Texans in Jacksonville. I think this is an easy one. This is the Jaguars.
Yeah, I think as long as it's not raining, I think the Jaguars will bounce back.
Yeah, true. Trevor Lawrence and his fumbles. All right, that was an easy pick. Now we got Falcons at Buccaneers. I think this. Wow, the Falcons have actually looked not bad this year, and the Buccaneers kind of have looked bad. But this is Tampa. This is a get right.
I've got Tampa. Yeah, and I don't know if it's a get right, but I just think Tom Brady's hungry for a win coming off that loss where he threw 350 passing yards. I think he had 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and they lost. I don't think he's ever had a game like that in his career. So, yeah, I've got the Buccaneers as well. Although the Falcons are way better than we thought. I'll say that.
Yeah. So we're taking Buccaneers in that one. All right, this one is, oh my gosh. This is the easiest game, and I'm sorry, Cam, but it's Steelers at Bills. This is Bills by probably 1,000,000 points.
Yeah, one thing to note about this game is that it's in Buffalo. They're starting Kenny Pickett, and the Steelers are a plus 14 underdog, which if you check,
Big spread.
it's like the biggest underdog since like 1960 or 1970 in the NFL.
That seems surprising to me that there hasn't been.
That
like
is very
a 16
surprising.
or
I
17
feel like
point favorite.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard of one, like a spread.
I feel like that's a fake stat. Where did you see that?
I saw it on Twitter multiple times.
Okay, so it's real confirmed. Actually, if it's on Twitter.
Yeah.
Wait, who said it? Was it like a verified check mark?
Yeah, and betting people. And a bunch of
it's
Steelers
definitely real. That
talking
it was
about.
a verified check mark.
But yeah, Bills. I don't really want to talk about that game. So
that's gonna be a fun recap game. Here's an interesting one: Dolphins at the Jets.
Wow, who would have thought this would be an interesting game? I think I have the Jets.
I know.
Because it's not because that the Jets are better. It's because Teddy Bridgewater's at quarterback. So yeah, I've got the Jets in this one.
You know what? I'll side with you on that. And the Jets are at home. I think they're going to win this game, and I think people are going to be super hyped because the Jets are then going to be 3-2 and have a tiebreaker over the. Yeah, and then they'll lay an egg next week against. I'll look it up, whoever they play, but it's a storyline for the making right there. It's just so perfect. Jets come in, they beat the
Although,
Dolphins. Everyone's like, oh, the Jets, Jets, Jets. And then next week they'll come out and they'll lose to the Packers. They'll just get blown
although
out by Green Bay.
this is also a game though where Teddy Bridgewater, he may not win you this game, but he's not going to lose you it. So if Zach Wilson makes a bunch of mistakes, then maybe the Dolphins can pull it out. But I think, have we picked a home team every single time thus far?
Yep. Hey, it worked for us last week. We only picked like 4 away teams, and guess what? I think all 4 away teams won, actually. All 4 of the ones that we picked won. All right, next one. Jeez, I think this one may be another home team pick, Cam. Bears at Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings.
I agree.
Bears stock. Not respectful. This one is just either.
Yeah, they're really bad. This one is just kind of a weird game to look at. I'm just looking at it right now, and it kind of hurts my eyes. Titans at Commanders.
Oh my God, tits come.
I'm still trying to process that.
Let's see here. Titans at Commanders. I think the Titans might be rolling all of a sudden. And the Commanders might be in a complete downward spiral. Which is sad.
The Commanders are dead.
Which is sad. I mean, we just started the season and they're already dead. I mean, they literally started out with a win. So that is just not good. But could mean Sam Howell sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we may see Carson Wentz get benched here. Exactly. Yeah. I want that because Taylor Heineke's at least a fun quarterback, and Sam Howell, he's also a fun quarterback, the rookies. So, but Carson Wentz is he's just sad.
Yeah, he is really sad. His career is, it's bad.
It's gone off the rails.
He looks like a really scared puppy. And the defense is just kicking him around like a really abusive owner. And their offensive line is like the other person in the relationship with the dog abuser, and they just kind of watch from afar, and they don't really do anything to interfere, and they just let the dog abuser through and just kick him around, and it's very sad. So, yeah, Carson Wentz, not good.
Yeah, that's actually a great analogy, too, because, you have to think he's done as a starter forever, right? He's never getting a starting job again.
Yeah.
After this season, last year at the Colts.
Yeah.
The year before at the Eagles. He's just a backup now.
Well, the thing is, his season last year with the Colts, there's bad teams that would take that quarterback play. And I wouldn't blame them for bad teams taking that kind of quarterback play. Because, think back, he went 27-7. Touchdown interception, which is not bad, and bad teams will take that. Like, I think, if you ask me, I think the fucking Texans would take that right now. So, that's just me. But I think even the 49ers would take that right now. I'm not sure.
His contract?
Jimmy G is sucking right now, but that's a different thing.
They wouldn't want to take it. 49ers just did a QB swap with their big contracts. Just swap.
Jimmy G's contract's not that big now. It's like all cut up now. Yeah. I think it's 1 year, like $4 or $5 million. I can't remember. Might be 10 actually, which is kind of a lot, but he's going to be the starter for the whole year. So paying your starting quarterback only $10 million isn't that bad.
Yeah, exactly. So you got Titans, you said?
Yeah, that's fine. We need a road team.
All right. Yep. All right. And this one's going to be a fun one. Seahawks and Saints. And it is the if it flies, it dies train for the Saints. Is James playing? Do we know? Is James alive?
I think as of right now, he's still I think he's doubtful right now.
Okay. Well,
Which
if
I
Jameis
don't.
plays,
He's got broken bones in his back. He's got broken bones in his back. So there's a reason why he's not playing. And he hasn't been that good anyway. So why send out a quarterback that hasn't been good who also has broken bones in their back when you can send out a very mediocre Andy Dalton? Just a great overall situation for the Saints right now. Yeah, a very handsome, soulless redhead.
Yeah. He has no life. He's stupid. We can push him
What
around.
Does he have to lose?
Be fine because he's
not his
soul. What does he have to lose?
Not his soul.
I mean, he could die, and he could probably his body would get back up and start walking again. Somebody could literally probably pull out a gun and shoot him, and he'd just get back up and start walking like a zombie almost.
Yeah, he'd probably just get back up and hand the ball off to Mark Ingram.
Yep. Or just drop back and throw a 5-yard pass or a 10-yard pass for an interception.
A 5-yard hitch route to Chris Olave.
You want to do a situation in this one, like if Jameis plays, we'll take the Saints, just due to the fact that if it flies, it dies. Seahawks?
I don't know.
Are we having a conversation? Are the Saints dead? This is an interesting one. They're 1-3. They don't have a quarterback. Their defense hasn't looked that good, really. Michael Thomas is, he's doing his yearly being hurt thing. Alvin Kamara hasn't been himself. He's also injured, I think, too. Sean Payton isn't there anymore. Are the Saints dead?
I think they're dead. It's sad, but I think they're dead.
Yeah. I'm not going to disagree
Super Bowl
with you.
favorites.
And the Seahawks have some life.
Remember, I don't know if you remember, last week I told you that we should not trust the Saints until proven otherwise. And I think we also had a clause last week where if Winston didn't play, then we're not taking him. But I didn't want to take the Saints last week anyway. And luckily we took the Vikings because Winston was out. But I don't want to pick the Saints until they show us they can win a game. I really don't.
Okay. I'm fine. I mean, we literally just pronounced them dead, so I think we take the Seahawks. I hate to say it, but the offense looked good for the Seahawks last week.
Yeah, Geno was cooking. Let Geno cook.
Yeah, I just picked up Rashad Penny in my fantasy leagues because Javonte Williams died, so I'm hoping for a big game from Rashad Penny. And then that's going to do it for the noon slot of games. We can move on to the afternoon. Oh, my gosh.
How many we got in the afternoon this week?
We got 3. That's it.
That's not enough.
And we kind of have a stupid game of the week, too. If I'm reading it right.
What is it?
So we have 2 possible ones. I don't know which one it's going to be. It's either going to be the Eagles at the Cardinals, so a bird matchup, or the Cowboys and the Rams. And I think it's probably going to be the Cowboys and the Rams just based on the fact that the NFL shows us the Cowboys at any chance they possibly can.
I don't mind those, actually. I don't mind either of those. I think I'd rather have the Cowboys game, actually, believe it or not.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. But the Eagles and Cardinals could be like a fun uniform matchup. And, that could be a fun quarterback matchup, too. Both of those QBs are tiny. Obviously Kyler's a little tinier, and, they got big arms, and they run a lot.
Jalen is not tiny.
He isn't?
He
seems kind of tiny.
He is not tiny. And he is built like a Mack truck compared to Kyler. And Kyler's built pretty well. But
he's like,
Jalen is not that small.
All right. Well, Jalen, that's classy guy.
Generous. He is very classy.
You want to take the Eagles in this one just because of Jalen Hurts' classiness?
You know what? Yeah, I want to take let's take the Eagles, not only because he's classy, but let's not forget this guy has some SEC experience as well. So that plays a factor into it. Not a whole lot of SEC guys on the Cardinals when you think about it. Um, a lot more of, Hollywood Brown. That's another Oklahoma Big 12 guy. J.J. Watt, Big 10 West. I mean, what the hell does that have to offer?
Where did Isaiah Simmons go?
Clemson, not SEC. Marcus Golden, former Mizzou Tiger, so SEC experience there.
True.
But besides that, not a whole lot of SEC experience on the board there. So, and the Eagles are kind of, they've got Devontae Smith, SEC experience, just another guy there. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and don't forget that. Remember when we were doing our NFL prediction show, and I said Nick Sirianni is going to win Coach of the Year. We were doing that, and I
you're
didn't have
looking
one
great
on the spot. I threw out Nick Sirianni, and that might be one of my best spontaneous predictions ever. Right? I mean, it's looking good right now. There's a long season left to go, but so we'll take the Eagles in that one. Cowboys, Rams at Rams.
Cowboys,
Cooper
Rams,
Rush, undefeated. Battle of the Coopers.
Cowboys defense looking fantastic. Rams offense looking not good.
I think let's take I'm taking the Cowboys. You can veto.
Do we
if
ride
you want,
with the
boys?
I think we them boys this week.
Cooper Rush looks good, and their defense. Matthew Stafford looks rough right now too.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with him. And he's racist, like you said, at the beginning of the season, so doesn't help.
Yeah. So you got Cowboys too? We them boys?
Yeah, I'm fine. I like that one. We them boys this week. Until proven otherwise by Cooper Rush. We them boys.
How about the NFC Beast this year?
They have the best record so far.
Game, I know.
11-5, I want to say.
That sounds right. And 3 of the losses are from the Commanders.
Yeah, because the Giants only have one loss, and the Cowboys only have one loss, and the Eagles are undefeated. So 11-5 right now for the Beast.
How about that? And then the last afternoon game is just kind of a sad game, if you really think about it. It's 49ers and Panthers. And this one is 49ers just based off the fact that it's the Panthers. And they're
are the Panthers at home?
Yes.
That raises some questions. Because this is going to be a very, very bad quarterback play.
Let me just ask you a question, Cam. When we send out this on Sunday morning, send out the graphic with all our predictions, do you want it to say the Panthers as a winning team that we predicted, just in turn for them to get blown out by the 49ers? You know how embarrassing that would look? What do we win? What do we gain if we pick them and they win?
One, they're not going to get blown out. This is the NFL, and the 49ers have Jimmy G at quarterback. But you're right. Debo is looking a little fat, and it's paying off. So let's go 49ers.
Do you want to take the Panthers?
No, I don't want to. But it's just one of those feelings that, Baker's been awful, and it's either, he's either going to break it up here or he's not. But I don't know. I've pictured 11:55 a.m., and I'm looking at the graphic right now for week 5. And, yeah, I don't want the little basketball thing that we put on who we pick to be on the Panthers side. So you've swayed me. I hope you're happy.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the way I think about it. If we pick the Panthers and they somehow win, what do we gain? That still looks dumb that we picked the Panthers. So even if they win, just how sad their franchise is at the moment. And then now let's move on to maybe the best game of the week. We got 2 really fun games in primetime this week, so make up for the stinker tonight. Bengals
We
at Ravens.
haven't mentioned the Chiefs. Have we mentioned the Chiefs yet?
Nope, they're Monday.
Okay. All right. Sweet.
So Bengals Ravens is the Sunday night game. Both teams are 2-2. This game will probably have huge implications on the AFC North. At the end of the year, it's at Baltimore. I'm going to defer this pick to you because you're an AFC North expert.
I've got the Rat Birds.
Ooh, okay. You think they figure it out on defense?
I think it's the final score is going to be like either 27-25 or 27-24. And the Bengals are going to be down like 20 to like 7 or like 20 to 10, and they're going to come back. And then the Ravens are just going to edge them out. So, but the one thing to note about this game I probably shouldn't even say it out loud because it's going to make me start thinking the other way, is that the Ravens have the 32nd ranked secondary. And keep that in mind. The Lions also have a secondary. So the fact that the Ravens secondary is behind the Lions says how bad it is. So I don't want to talk myself out of it. So Rat Birds.
All right. I'm not going to veto you on that. And then last game of the week, Raiders at the Chiefs. This is set to be a really good game. I'm going to take the over in this one. But it's in Kansas City. It's in Arrowhead. You're going to have the fans going, oh, oh. And then during the national anthem, you're going to have the fans go, and the home of the Chiefs. And the Raiders just won't overcome that. And the fact that they have all that, plus they have to face Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs all the way.
Yeah, I'm not going to be risky here. I'm just going to take the Chiefs. But from a fan perspective and from a knowledgeable perspective, one thing to keep in mind is that Derek Carr is actually good against Patrick Mahomes at Arrowhead. I don't know if you remember, but they were like one of the only teams to beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead, like last season or the year before that. I can't remember. So just watch out for that. But Chiefs.
All right. Yeah. I agree with that completely. So to recap, we had the Broncos, but they lost. We had the Packers, the Patriots. I think we had the Browns, Jaguars, Buccaneers, Bills, Jets, Vikings, Titans, Seahawks, 49ers, Eagles, Cowboys, Ravens, and Chiefs. So the entire week we picked 5 away teams. Strategy worked for us last week. We went 10-6.
That's not bad.
Yeah, what are we going to do this week? You'll have to see, I guess. But this might be the first week where I don't sit down and watch NFL football because the Packers have the early game, so I'll watch that game. But then after that, it's playoff baseball time. So the NFL may have to take a back seat. Especially, I want to watch the Sunday night football game, but if the Cardinals are in a game 3, they play at the exact same time. So Cardinals are getting my watch in that one. Even though I'd want to watch, the Ravens and Bengals.
I don't hate on your decision on that as being a big baseball guy. In fact, last weekend...
It doesn't even have anything to do with being a baseball guy. I'm just a playoff guy. If the NBA,
but
NHL, college football, NCAA basketball, anything. I'm going to choose playoffs first.
If it was, no offense, but if it was the NHL playoffs or Week 5 NFL regular season, it's not even up for debate. I'm watching Red Zone all day over NHL playoffs. But if Cardinals are playing Game 3 on Sunday, I think I will be at least switching back and forth. Shout out to who is it? Paul Pierce? Shout out to Paul Pierce? Or is it Ray Allen? Switching back and forth.
I don't know what you're talking about, so
That is a side
I
note
can't
that
tell you.
we will discuss off camera. But yeah, uh, but yeah, I'm really excited for
Yeah.
the Monday night game. I hope I don't have a shitload of schoolwork so I can watch that. Also, happy Columbus Day. I can't believe that is a holiday we still celebrate. Shout out Christopher Columbus.
Yeah, that's a great point. But anyways, that's going to wrap up a very long show, but a very fun one. I think at that. I think it's going to be a fun one for the listeners. And I know that a 2 hour show is kind of a turnoff for some people, but I really encourage you to listen to this one because this one's going to be good. Um, and
At
if
least listen to Jake.
yeah, exactly. At least listen to Jake. That was an hour. I guess we could, technically divide this into two different shows, but I don't know if that's kind of unethical. I don't think we want to do that. So we'll just keep it all. This will be released on Friday hopefully before the playoffs. I don't know. I got school in the morning and then I'm driving to the stadium with Jake from my school. So I guess I could, I'll find time. I'll upload it. I'll get it out. But anyways, happy playoff weekend. And Cam, you never really gave predictions for the wild card round. You just skipped over that, went right to the NLDS. You have
Oh,
predictions for the winners this weekend?
I do think that the Cardinals are actually going to pull through, and I really don't have a winner for you in the Mets series. I am very, very conflicted. Um, I I really think we could be seeing a Mets meltdown. And if we don't see a Mets meltdown, they might win the whole thing. That's how like the shifts could work with this series. That's how shifty this series is. And then
I picked
on
Padres,
the other
but
side, I don't think the Guardians are unbelievably good. The problem is,
I don't either.
just like when it was a 1-game series, 3 games isn't a lot, even though it's more than one. It's like an actual series, best of 3, but anything can happen in 3 games. That's just the nature of baseball. Now, playoffs amps it up, but that is just the nature of the game, and that's why a lot of people love it, is that anything can happen, and there's great parity in the MLB. But I don't think the Guardians are going to win. And then in the other series, what is the other series? I'm blanking on it. So
Blue Jays Mariners.
the Rays win. Oh yeah, that's another one. I really can't give you an answer. I want the Blue Jays to win, but I also wouldn't mind if the Mariners won, because I think the city of Seattle, if making a deep run and maybe winning a World Series, that would be really cool for them. But I think I will go with the Blue Jays. So
I think the Blue Jays probably have higher expectations in this one. But
I would assume so. And then I would think, next year and the year after that, the Mariners would have higher expectations. But because they're really building something.
Mariners did their job this year. They're in the playoffs.
Exactly.
But then I just
want
to make
a really young,
real quick
superstar.
During the baseball predictions, I said that the Guardians were going to beat the Yankees, and I'll be honest, that was a spur of the moment decision where I'm like, the Guardians, they're going to be a fun team, and I honestly think that if they win one series against the Rays, they might as well go out and beat the Yankees. But the reason I did it is because I didn't want to put 1-2 and 1-2. I didn't just want to put the top dogs 1-2 and 1-2 in the AL and in the LCS, because that's kind of lame. But now that I'm thinking, I've had a whole hour and a half to think about that. Yeah, I had a whole hour and a half to think about that. And if there is a team that's going to upset one of the top 4, it's not going to be the Guardians over the Yankees. So I'm switching that. Yankees are to the League Championship Series, but I still have the Astros going to the World Series. I just want to clear that up. The Guardians aren't beating the Yankees. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. That was a stupid prediction.
You should. I don't. I mean, I'm sure you probably could. Well, probably not because of the pixels, but you should have seen Jake's face when you said that. He just looked at me like,
I
"No way!" He actually just said that, and that was funny. But also, I think if the Guardians win those series, the MLB might implode. That would be.
oh yeah.
They would hate that, and I don't blame them. They should hate that. They should do everything in their power to make sure that doesn't happen.
If the MLB might implode if a few of these things happen, if the Guardians win the World Series, that would be catastrophe number one for the MLB. Terrible. Catastrophe number two is that the Yankees lose to either the Rays or the Guardians. If the Yankees are out after the first round, that's a catastrophe for the MLB. Catastrophe number three is that we don't get a Braves Dodgers in LCS. That's going to get views. So
Imagine how bad this scenario could be. This is like worst possible scenario for the MLB. A Dodgers Guardians World Series and Dodgers win like 4-1. That would be really bad for the MLB.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to picture that right now. If the Guardians get super hot, for one, it would be funny that the Guardians got that hot that randomly, but then they would just get there and then Mookie Betts and company would just be like, "This is who we have to play," and then it would just be over.
Oh my God. I'm just picturing that right now. That would be such a
It's gross.
World Series.
It is gross. So I hope that doesn't happen.
Or even the Braves could do that too. But so I was conflicted. I picked the Braves at the beginning of the year to beat the White Sox, LOL, in the World Series. But I'm changing it up. I think the Dodgers. Yeah. So that was my confliction. But anyway, that's going to wrap up our show. So yeah, long show. And good luck with whichever you choose to watch. Week 5, Week 6 of college football, which we didn't get to this week, but we're out of time for sure. So that'll be next week. Even though shout out Mizzou playing Georgia close, and then so enjoy the Week 5 of football. Enjoy the playoff baseball. We'll see you in episode 32.